Okay, awesome. All right, so best practices for Zoom meeting is if you're not speaking, go ahead and keep yourself on mute. At the end of our presentation, the On Track Presents, we'll go ahead and we'll have some Q&A. Feel free to use the chat later on for questions and answers. You can either put your question in, or we really love if you put your camera on and ask it personally, but whatever you're most comfortable with will be great. We are recording this on YouTube, and then this will live on our website so that if you have friends, that you want to share this with, you'll have the opportunity to do that later. So we'll go ahead and we'll put our first slide up. And I'm excited that we have Miss Tasha Renfro in the house. She's the wizard behind the curtain. She kind of makes this all come together for me, which is wonderful because it's hard for me to present and do all the sharing at the same time. So I really appreciate the support from Miss Tasha and also from Miss London here tonight. Thanks, guys. Okay. So this is really exciting. This is something that we've had on our radar for a while, and that is to, London, if you can go ahead and make sure we're letting people in from the waiting room, that would be great. Just give me a thumbs up if you can do that for me. And then, okay, fantastic. Thank you. Okay, so we've had this on our radar for a while. You all know, or maybe you don't know, that Michael Leib is my son, graduate of the class of 2008. And, after a very successful racing career, Michael now has a very successful business, actually two businesses. And so in addition to Michael, we have a current student graduating class of 2029. That's right. I did say that. That's going to be the year that Evan Blair graduates from On Track as a senior. And so the two of them have a really interesting story. They're 20 years apart, 21 years apart, and where they'll be graduating, and their stories kind of came together. So we thought it would be fun to have them share how their stories came together. So we're going to go ahead and start with Evan's story on the second slide. Evan is an 8th grader with us this year, and he has started his own company. So much like Michael, he's an entrepreneur. So if we can go to that second slide, then we'll ask Evan some questions about what he's doing. Let's give Tasha just a minute to catch up. There we go. So Evan, welcome to On Track Presents. I'm so excited that you're here with us.
I'm so excited too. I've been waiting for this for like a few months now, and I'm super excited to talk on here.
Well, awesome. Thank you so much. Tell us a little bit about Stay Young MX. Tell us, what it is, what made you want to start it. I know when we met at Loretta's, you were talking to me about it, and I want to hear you kind of tell that same story, and I can help you out.
All right, yeah. So we started it because my whole entire life I've always loved being related to motocross, whether that be racing or anything in it. And I've always loved to design clothes, everything. I've been doing that like forever, not even when we started the business. And we just decided that I love motocross, I love designing gear and clothes, so why not put them together and start our own business? That was the main idea to start it.
I love that. So what kinds of things were you designing? You said you've been designing your whole life. What were you always designing something moto related?
Most of the time, it was like I just draw out gear and then draw cool designs on it. But a lot of the times, it would just be like cool, like average drawings, But most of the time, it was gear related to motocross.
And so it must be really exciting for you and your parents to see that it actually came to fruition. I can imagine, maybe a younger Evan, maybe 7 years old, drawing things. And then here all of a sudden we're looking at your brand, right?
Yeah, we're so excited that this has started and that it's like a real big thing now. We're so happy for it, and we hope to keep on doing this for a long time to come.
So is your dad kind of like business manager in your company? Is he, you explained to me that you've got a lot of accountability here, right? You've got to
Yeah.
really pull the weight. What does that look like?
So really, he just does all the accounting, money side stuff, and marketing for now. I just do all the designs on the gear and clothes, but he's starting to teach me everything so that when I'm older, I could take it over for myself. So yeah, he's just gradually teaching me everything.
I love that. And when you're in high school, there's got to be a way for us to be able to give you high school credit for that, like a business
Yeah,
kind of elective. Yeah. So
yeah,
remember that when you go to your high school pathway meeting, you want to get credit for this because that's super, this is life skills, that you can't really get anywhere else. So your dad and your mom have given you an amazing opportunity, and it sounds like you're aware of that. So that's
yeah. I'm
fantastic.
super grateful. It's awesome. They're helping me out with this so much. I wouldn't be able to do any of this stuff if it wasn't for them.
So then most recently, I saw you at Mini O's, and Michael had, I think, 85 sets of gear sent to us, and all of his canvas riders came over to pick up the gear, and it was super cool to see you pick up your gear and be excited to share that with your riders. So is this fourth picture here on the screen one of your sponsored riders, or how does that work?
Right now, I cannot see the screen. I looked at the
Oh, okay. Okay.
yeah, I looked at the slide earlier though. Yes, the fourth rider is he's our first sponsor. His name is Talon Rogers, and we signed
Okay.
him like 4 months ago at Loretta's. Yeah, actually, yeah, at Loretta's. And yeah, we've been super happy with him. Yeah, he was our first guy.
That's cool. So you sponsor him? He's a
Yeah,
sponsor rider.
yeah.
So do you make sure when he gets up on the podium, he thanks you?
Yeah, he thanks us every time. It's awesome. It feels so just
All right.
awesome that he's thanking us for stuff. It's so cool.
Yeah, that's very important because you're doing a lot for him and his racing young career. So that's cool. And how'd you meet Michael? How'd you get started where, Canvas is helping you with your gear?
Yeah, we first met him at our friend Jacob and Jamie's wedding. I met him first there, and we talked there, and it was cool. And that's when we were planning everything out to start the business. And like my dad knew him personally before, so they kind of just like worked it all together and made it so that all of our gear is the same exact material as Canvas's stuff, just different designs. And so yeah, he just helps us with all that stuff now. It's awesome.
Well, that's exciting. And so what is your goal for Stay Young MX in the next year, 2 years? Do you set business goals for yourself?
Yes, I do. My main goal is just to keep on learning how to do business, keep on trying to do better and better. And then once I'm 18, my parents are going to hand it over to me. And from then on, I'm just going to try to make it like a high top tier business and see how well it goes.
Oh, that is exciting. I love that. Well, thank you, Evan. Is there anything else that you'd like to share about your brand that you want our listeners and our audience to know about today?
Not really. That's mainly the biggest gist of it. It will get bigger and everything, and I'll have more stuff to talk about it once it gets bigger. But thank you.
No, you're welcome. And I see that you also have t-shirts.
hmm
So if somebody wants to go support your company and they want to, wear a t-shirt, especially they're a non-track student, where would they go?
They'd go, you could find it in the bio in my Instagram or just go to stayyoungmx.com. And there we have all the latest stuff and everything. We are coming out with the drop soon, too. The day after Christmas, we're releasing our second drop.
Okay, that's cool. And I see on one of your t-shirts you have Fountain of Youth, which obviously goes along with Stay Young. So
Yeah.
is Fountain of Youth, you know, kind of just all a part of Stay Young, or is it a special tagline that you have?
It's all a part of it. We just have like a bunch of different logos, and we just use that as like another one. Kind of a cool one. I really like that one.
Yeah, I like that one too. That might be a t-shirt I need to order on your
Mm.
site. So I'm gonna have to go check that out. I like that. There actually is the Fountain of Youth in St. Augustine. It's a pretty
Really?
cool place for
Oh,
those of
that's
you who haven't
check
been
that
there.
out.
Yeah, you should definitely check that out. All right. Well, Michael, let's hear from you. And Tasha, if we can go to the next slide, that would be great. Appreciate it. These look so cool. I love the colors. I love the brand. It looks really nice, Evan. Nice job on that. That's all your design? You did that all yourself?
What we did, I like made the base design and then we send it to a designer at Canvas and he like fixes it all up and makes it good.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
I just make like the main part of it and he just fixes it all up.
I like that. Well, Michael, you know what's
Hi.
really interesting? Hi. You know what's cool is remember that folder I found of all the helmets you drew when you
Yeah.
were really young? And so Evan kind of has that same story, but who knew, right? That you'd be having a gear line one day and you were also
The different
designing
part
them
was
at a
I'm not a designer at all. Like I think it's
yeah.
cool that Evan designs his stuff and we put a little makeup on it, but he gets it pretty close. Can I ask Evan questions now or should I wait for that at the end? Because I have questions
No,
for
yes, please. I think you should ask them now.
him. Evan, who do you look up to when you are researching business and marketing and studying? Like
Mhm.
who's some role models for you that you're kind of looking at when you're trying to learn about business and how to market and product design, all that stuff. Anyone in particular?
Um, the one person in particular is really my dad because he's had businesses in the past, and so he's just had that experience that could teach me stuff. He doesn't know all the way, so sometimes I'll just like go on YouTube and find videos that'll help me, but most of it comes from him.
But you look to YouTube and all that stuff for
Yeah,
channels and you spend a
yeah,
lot of time doing that then.
yeah, and it's helped out a ton.
It's cool. I think that stuff's super important. I'm not old by any means, but I also see the younger demographic looking at there's so much access to information that
Yeah,
I don't think, you know, I've even tapped into probably 10 or 15% of the information that's actually out there, but it's pretty cool what's on the internet. And yeah, I just that was one of my questions for you. So
yeah,
good.
I think that's an awesome question, Michael. Thank you. And please feel free to chime in because as a businessman, I'm so proud of where you've gone that, you know, you have mentorship capability for somebody like Evan, you know, and
I mean,
that's a great
anything
question.
like I think college was such an important thing, and yeah, it's great, but there's so much information on YouTube. I look to YouTube, Evan, for a lot of things. Even like right now, I'm trying to figure out some automation stuff that runs through Shopify, and I learned so much in the last 2 weeks on automation from YouTube that kind of allowed me to do things that people were trying to charge me a couple grand for. So yeah, it's pretty powerful what's out there. I think it's cool. So many more people too. Like, do you watch TV at all, or you just watch YouTube
I watch TV sometimes. Yeah,
a little bit?
yeah,
I know a ton of people that are like, let's say 22 and under, that just spend all their time on YouTube and they watch things that they're interested in. And it's not like garbage TV, or not saying that you watch garbage TV, but just in general, there's so much cool information out there. I think it's
yeah.
cool.
It's awesome. Anytime I really watch YouTube, I always learn something new. It's
Yeah.
awesome.
Cool.
Yeah, you know what? It's true. The focus 10 years ago, 15 years ago, before all the student loan debt came about, was college, college, college. And now, you know, I'm not knocking college parents, so don't get upset with me yet. But there are so many different ways to your future now. You know, there's community college. Yes, college is important, but if you are going into more of an entrepreneurial lane, you know, we offer Dave Ramsey's financial literacy class and real life experience through the apprentice program. So there's many different pathways now, which is super exciting. And you can really learn a lot through YouTube TV and business models like that. So excellent. Thank you for sharing that. That's a great discussion. So Michael, kind of walk us through Canvas MX and Lucid. I know a lot of riders when we're at the track and we're at events, we're seeing more and more Canvas gear and everybody's really excited. In fact, at On Track, we have 3 riders now wearing Canvas gear. We've got Jordan Renfro, Miss Tasha's son, sponsored with Canvas gear. We've got Thor Powell, just moved over to Canvas, and also SJ. super cute little girl that's on our social media. So we're excited to support Canvas, but tell us a little bit about, what we've got here up on the screen, which might help tell your story, or start wherever you'd like.
I'll try to round up the beginning I'm not sure how many people in here maybe haven't heard the last one, so I won't try to bore it with the beginning side. Um, in 2014, I got paid pretty good money from AXO. I was racing Supercross, and then the next year we were trying to figure out a way to do things differently. They gave me a pretty big budget cut, so we ended up getting all white gear based out of China. We imported in and we started doing title sponsorship stuff per round. I got hurt really bad at round 4. We were able to raise, I think, like 30,000 just doing title sponsorship stuff per round. And then I got contacted while I was in the hospital from a gear company in Argentina. That's a key moment because that will get to what Lucid became. Um, Throughout the next 7 years, I really tried to get Canvas it evolved from all black and white gear to doing name and number stuff to doing sublimated, custom name and number jersey stuff like what we've evolved into, to realizing that based out of Argentina, we had to figure out a way to make it in USA. Over the next 4 or 5 years, I really spent a lot of time trying to find someone that we were outsourcing to make the product here in USA for us. Couldn't get what I needed. So from there, we went and I think it was January of 2022. I sat down and I just said, I can't do this anymore. I've either got to, put the ball in my own hands and make it myself, or I was going to walk away completely from Canvas and go find something else to do with my life and find a new career. At that point, I was already done racing. I retired in 2020 and needed to find a way to find stability. And if I wasn't proud of my product, I wasn't something that I really wanted to push. So when I decided to start Lucid is a gear manufacturer that's located in Southern California. I don't know exactly how to make gear and run the production and do the whole process. Of course, I can sell gear, I can customize gear, I can do a lot of that stuff. But when you talk about having, an $80,000 a month overhead and having 12 employees, which half of which you can't speak to because they speak a different language, you need to find some people that know how to take that part of the task off your plate, especially all meanwhile running Canvas as a separate company. So Lucid was created to be the manufacturing facility for Canvas, but when we built Lucid, we called it a different name and we created a different entity for it, company, because when we have the conversation with, say, Fly or Fast House or Troy Lee, they don't want to do business with another gear company. So we split the two, and Lucid has become the gear manufacturing facility, and Canvas still does custom. Canvas has online retail, we have online wholesale. We do things like what we do for Evan with Stay Young, where we can take a gear brand and essentially turn it into its own gear brand overnight by using our gear chassis and allowing him to put in small custom orders of, 20, 30, 40, even 100 sets of gear. At Lucid, we make around 3,500 jerseys a month, and we probably make around 500 or 600 pants a month. The majority of that is Canvas. Some of that's other brands. Some of that's brands like Stay Young. Some of that's brands like Fly. There's a lot of other brands that we work with domestically to create to fill a void with USA manufacturing. For example, if a gear company wants to make custom jerseys for their pro teams, say Thor goes and makes a bunch of jerseys for the Star Yamaha team, they have to order them, around 4 months in advance, and they got to pay quite a bit to get them into the USA, and sometimes there's delays. We can make, say 1,000 jerseys within a 2 or 3 week time frame in their backyard for less money. So that's kind of what the two are.
Yeah, that's very unique that you are able to do that, have manufacturing and gear in and made in the US in one building. So that's a lot. I like this Racer X magazine cover. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so Canvas since let's see. So we built this project in January of 22. We opened the doors July 5th of 22. And come October of 2022, we decided that we were finally ready to go get some teams and sponsor some good riders and some good athletes, and really start pushing the marketing behind what Canvas was doing and where it was headed. I hadn't really put any money into teams and sponsorship. finding good riders that we really wanted to work with. I haven't done that at that point yet. So from there, we sponsored, I think we had 7 or 8 guys. We had Joey Savacci, we had Ty Masterpool, we have Pastrana, we have a lot of guys that now we help out with something that's really custom and unique. It was really cool we worked with Ty Masterpool for just the outdoor series on this year. I used to race with his brother Jesse, who unfortunately passed away in I think 2010. But it was really cool. He was a really, really strong privateer this year. And it was cool. Davey Coombs sent me a text and said that we got our first cover. So it's not every day that you see a gear company that's not your Fox, Thor, or Fly, your main kind of gear company that's on a cover of Racer X. So that was a cool achievement. We're actually doing a year end wrap up right now that we're having a lot of fun looking back on the first year with. So it's cool to start seeing this project really come to life. It's been a long time waiting to get the product right before we can go do these cool projects. So that was year one, and we have a lot of really big plans for 2024.
That's really cool. And Evan, I'm listening to Michael and my mind is like exploding on where you can go. Is that happening to you as you're listening to this too?
Yeah, it definitely is. I just see that there's so much potential with this if we do it the right way, which I know we could do for sure because me and my dad both take this really seriously, and my mom.
Yeah, it's exciting. Yeah, that's very cool. And so, with the racer replicas, it started with Masterpool. Do you see that going anywhere exciting in the
Yeah.
future that you want to talk about yet?
Yeah. So the Racer replica for us is always turning into a much bigger project. What I can actually finally talk about as of last week was it's very difficult for, say, Canvas as a $1 or $2 million company. It's very difficult for us to say, let's just say that we're a $1 million company, for us to go and take $150,000 salary to go pay a team, right? Most companies operate at a 15 to a 25% overall profit margin as far as net at the end of the year. I can't really do that because that would be not paying myself. That would be literally just dumping all the money back into the company, which for me is not an option. So the racer replicas, when Time Masterpool came to us at the end of Outdoors, um, or sorry, at the end of Supercross, right before Outdoors started, we didn't have any budget left to pay him. It was mid-year. Everything that we had spent and invested into was completely taken care of. So between him and a couple other riders, we were able to sell about 400 replica jerseys. And what we were able to do was whatever money that we were able to raise from the racer replicas, we were able to use that as payment back to the riders. So not only did they have the ability to have their fans buy a replica jersey of, maybe their favorite rider, Ty Masterpool, obviously was a fan favorite. He was all over TV. People really got behind his story, but people were now able to go buy his actual race replica jersey, wear to the races, get signed by him. If you go look at NFL and NHL and NBA, the replica jersey markets in those industries are massive. For example, I think NFL is a $2 billion industry. Our industry doesn't have a replica jersey. For example, if you want to go get a Tomac jersey, you've probably got a 1 in a million chance of going and getting one. They're very, very difficult to get, and everyone wants one. So what we've done is we've saw the success of that project with the Racer replicas, and we've taken that project all the way up to Supercross to Feld, and we've done a 5-year deal with them, and we'll own the licensing to be able to now go and try to get the licensing from gear companies and then from teams and then from riders so that we can create fan merchandise, fan jerseys for our sport. Just like when you go to a Lakers game, everyone in the Lakers stadium, they all have a Kobe Bryant, a LeBron James, or a Shaq jersey. Same thing now when we go to Denver. Hopefully, we'll have the opportunity to be able to sell a Tomac jersey where all the Tomac fans will be able to buy a Tomac replica jersey, get it signed by them, and be a really, really nice fan piece that they'll have for the rest of their lives. I think that that's something that Lucid has really created a lot of opportunity for. Canvas was able to prove a little bit of the concept, and with our relationships and the current contracts that we have with current gear companies in the industry, as well as my background with racing, we can really tie this whole picture together and try to bring SMX jerseys and replicas to reality within our sport.
Yeah, that's a game changer. I think that's going to be really exciting, Michael. Congratulations on the work that you've done to make that happen. I think the Time Master Pool and I believe in jumping into things a little bit at a time, testing the waters, and that was really cool to see. So that's exciting.
But
Um, I
on the
know,
contrary too, it's also really cool to be able to use Canvas for a project like Evan, right? Evan's young. I think that it's so important and so cool for him and where he is in his life to be. Evan, you're what? How old are you? 13?
13. I turned 14 in April.
So you're 13 years old, you're getting a background for how business works, but up until Canvas started, it would be virtually impossible for you to, essentially be able to go create your own gear, And gear companies have really cornered that market, and it's all been made in Asia and made overseas. And having a made in USA product that you know, somebody like Evan, somebody like any of you in here or anyone around can take a Canvas idea and we'll, private label it, make it your own, and allow you to get the experience of what it's like to run a company, the marketing, the things and the way that your brain starts to work when you're 13 years old, I think is super, super awesome. I think it's really cool that, we get to work on projects like that to give back. Because I remember mom being I don't know when I wanted to start a part company. I wanted to make clutch levers and front brake levers. I can't remember what I was going to call it. Um, I must have been 13 or 14. I didn't do it. Um, but anyway, I think it's awesome. I think it's really cool.
yeah, I do too. I that's why, actually Allie came up with the idea of putting the two of you together in one of our On Track Presents because of the story of where Evan is now, where you are now. You're both on track students, you know, and the whole mission statement at On Track is, pursue an education while chasing your dreams. Well, it could be chasing your dreams in business, right, Evan? It doesn't have to be chasing your dreams on the track. It's whatever it
Mm.
is that you want to accomplish, our teachers, our team also, we just want to be the driving force to empower our students to do that. And so we started On Track Presents to bring in inspirational stories to be able to drive that point home. So it's great that you and Michael have been able to connect. And I know that, he'll be a great mentor for you, you know, anytime you have questions. So that's exciting. It's really exciting to see that.
Yeah, it really is.
So I think that we should open this up. I'm sure some of our students and our team members have questions that they would love to ask. Is there anybody in our audience that would love to come off mute and ask questions of Evan or Michael? Don't be shy. We'd love to hear from you. And you can use the chat if you're more comfortable with that. There's something I'd like to share that I think is really interesting, and Evan, I'd like to ask you. I don't know if you're familiar with our power traits. You would have taken that in our orientation class. Do you remember that?
Power traits. It's like, what was it, Mom?
It tells you what you're good at.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I kind of remember it. Yeah,
Was it everything that your dad's not good at?
yeah,
I
yeah, pretty
think,
much.
yeah, I think Dad's in here. We can
Yeah,
let him
I'm in
answer
here.
that. But I remember math was very difficult for Michael. But after we looked
Yeah,
at the power traits and we realized finance, he was really interested in finance. That just kind of brought it all together. Michael, do you see that still today? Does that resonate with
I
you?
remember being in school. What was my last year of school? Fifth grade?
Well, no, 12th grade. You graduated on track.
Public school.
Yes, fifth grade was your last year of public school.
Public school was fifth grade. I remember being really frustrated with math that never made sense in a real world scenario.
I
And
have the same. Yeah,
I I never could get focused on it. I could never figure it out. And it's funny because I never did any of that math that I never understood with mom. in the homeschool program, but I I don't think that there's ever a scenario where the math that I never could really understand from actually being in public school that I never really wanted to understand that I've actually used in a real world scenario. It's actually quite funny. But I like numbers and I like math, and eventually they'll frustrate the absolute living daylights out of you, but you'll have to figure it out. And it won't be the fact that you don't want to do your homework. It's a very important thing to figure out. Yeah, I like math with numbers.
What happened? My screen.
Yeah, Dana
I
gets
still
it.
see you.
There's so much math out there that why? Where are you going to use it? I don't know. Maybe I'm in the wrong line of work for that.
Well, that's why we have Dave Ramsey's financial literacy class in high school, because parents and students do ask for real life math scenarios. But Michael has a really good point. When you are in your own business, it's not like you don't want to do homework. You do have to figure it out. If there's something missing, you have to figure out where it went. You have to look at your expenses, you have to look at your revenue, you have to have a balance sheet and the whole thing. So good for you, Evan, for figuring it out, and for your parents for giving you that opportunity. Like I said before, that's great.
Yeah,
Miss Dan,
it's.
go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying that that's super great. Yeah.
Miss Danny, you
We're
want to
being
come
bad advice over here for Danny.
on? Oh. She says, my kid says this all the time about math. She says, why Coach Kendall goes above and beyond to keep her engaged in math. I tell Zoe one day she will use it. Well, I think we will use it. We will figure out geometry and, the angles, and it does come back to you where you do need to look at it. But at the time, a lot of it does seem a little redundant.
But can I say, when you come on the teacher side of things and you start putting it together and you realize all the resources we have, you're like, where was this when I was in high school?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And, Coach Kendall does go above and beyond to make math interesting. So, Evan, when you do get into the high school program, we've got some outstanding learning coaches that will try really hard to make the subject matter to you.
Yeah. I'm really excited for all the classes I could take in high school. One I'm really excited for is the art class. I know I've been trying to do that for a while.
Evan, have you learned
Yeah.
Illustrator yet?
What was that, sir? Learned
Have you learned
what?
any Adobe classes yet?
No, not yet, but we're working on that. Learn
That
that
would be a
soon.
fun one. You'd really enjoy that one.
Yeah. Yeah, that
Adobe
one.
is super frustrating when you start to learn it, but you should really take a look at starting to play around with it. I taught myself Illustrator. I didn't take any classes. I just self-taught. I'm not artistic. I can't make something that's, going to sell all over the place. But like Jason, our designer who works with you, watching him on Illustrator, if I knew half the things that he did, my life would have been a lot easier.
Yeah,
But
it helped.
you should really look into that. It would be something really powerful for you to learn in the next year or two.
Yeah. Yeah, I completely agree. We'll definitely look into that.
Yeah, that's great advice. Evan, do you have questions for Michael while you've got him? You've got him on the hot seat.
As of right now, no, but I could definitely think of some questions to ask. I'm just a little kind of hyped right now over this.
It's okay. That's okay. I'm one to put people on the spot.
Evan,
Um,
have you put a prospect sheet together of who you want to sponsor for next year, or are you gonna just keep the same guys that you have for this year?
We're gonna keep the same guys for this year. We're right now trying to save up a little bit more money so we can sponsor riders,
Yep.
just so we could do it comfortably. Right now, we've only got Talon sponsored, but we are looking into some more people in the future.
Cool.
yeah, very cool. Very cool. Well, are there any other questions from our audience feel free to use the chat. We have lots of great comments saying this is great, smart thinking, amazing growth, lots of ways to increase higher education. So I think there are no questions. I just think people are really excited about what the two of you are doing. So I want to thank you both again for taking the time to share your stories. I'm excited to see where you go, Evan. And when you get to high school and you have that pathway meeting, we need to make sure that we're getting you some credit for your business endeavor. I think that would be really great. And there are classes that, Miss Meredith teaches art in our school, and there are things that you could do. That apprentice class is really good. It's kind of like an introduction. If you were in school, in public school, they might have an internship class. Our apprentice class will go through various aspects, and there are some graphic design things in there, but it's an interesting class, as well as that Dave Ramsey class I was talking to you about too.
Yeah, I'm super excited to try a bunch of them out. Once we do that meeting and we figure out which ones to do, I know that there's gonna be a ton of them I'm gonna want to do.
Very good. All right. Well, we'll be cheering you on. And I think we're good. So thank you, everybody who came on tonight and supported Evan and Michael and listened to their story. Thank you both for sharing your time. I know how busy you are. And we will be in touch. We'll be watching out to see what other great things are on the horizon.
Perfect. Thank
Awesome.
you, everyone.
Okay.
You go.
Bye, guys. Good night.